Here's my second attempt at doing a video about the basics of hiking, camping, and backpacking in Georgia. My first attempt I recorded with no sound. So that's fun. Okay, so this first video is going to be about hiking in general in Georgia, for people who just want to go out and start hiking and they've never hiked before. The first thing is that I will tell you is to just do it. Like, go out there, find a trail that is a mile long and just do it. And you don't need anything for that. Google it, hiking trails near me, and they'll find it for you. If you want to get a little bit more in depth, then I strongly suggest that you go to the App Store and you download the app called AllTrails. You don't have to pay for the premium version. You can, but you certainly do not have to pay for the premium version. If you do pay for the premium version, you can download maps to the trails offline, which is sometimes helpful. But there is a map to the trail at the beginning of almost every single trailhead. So too, if you look at the reviews for the trail on the AllTrails app, it'll also give you pointers. If you're starting out for hiking, I would suggest 2 to 3 miles because that'll give you a good taste. I would also suggest there's a way that you can filter on AllTrails. I suggest you do a loop for your first few hikes out. And if you want something fun, you can also filter for waterfalls, you can filter for, dogs or what have you. So all of those things. The second thing that you need to do before you start hiking is you need to Google and research LNT, leave no trace. It's really important that you understand what leave no trace is, because it's actually the lack of understanding of LNT is causing problems on the trails right now, and those problems are pretty big. So please make sure that you research leave no trace. And then the very last thing is make sure that you bring water. So I always pack this. And this is not actually full of smart water, it's just full of tap water. But I reuse these because it's fairly light and it also has the sports cap, which I like. You can take your Nalgene bottle, you can take your special water bottle if you want, or a Camel pack if you want. It's entirely up to you. But I'll be perfectly honest and tell you that, like, in Georgia, if you're on a 3-mile trail, like, you're not gonna die of water deprivation. It's important that you hydrate, obviously, because water helps us not get sun poisoning and heat stroke and stuff like that. Absolutely and totally. And if you are not in good shape, it's really important that you hydrate as well, because your body's probably not used to using those particular types of muscles. However, please do not feel like you have to go out and purchase a Camel pack. This is when I say Camel pack, this is what I mean. So this is a pack that's specifically like a hydrating pack. If you're going on a longer hike, I would say maybe you want to invest in one of these. You can get them off of Amazon. So I will carry, like for a long hike, I'll carry one of these. You also might want to look into, when you first get to the trail, having a stick. And I like having a stick as a female, and I've had this one actually since high school, but I like having the sticks as a female because it is one of those things that it's like, I can beat you up with it, which makes me feel better. Probably not actually accurate, but it makes me feel better. So those are the big things. And when you first start hiking, you really aren't going to know what your own comfort level is until you start trying to do this on your own. So those are my big suggestions. I also strongly suggest, because Georgia is buggy, I use DEET repellent. So I use like Max Sport DEET because I don't like bugs. I also strongly suggest that you wear some kind of a head covering to keep ticks away from you. When you get home from a hike, make sure that you just check yourself for ticks. Please do not let the fear of ticks or bears or snakes or any of those things dissuade you from going hiking. It's just something that you have to be aware of when you're going outdoors. I also, whenever I go hiking, I take a little tiny like baby med kit with me, just because I do bushwhacking, which means that like when I go through trails, I like clear brush and stuff, which means that I have to be aware of that. So I take a little med kit, and in this med kit, the only thing I have is like a wrap. I have like wraps. And then I have bandages, and I've also got like alcohol swabs, and that's it. Okay. The other thing that you need to know is if you're out on a longer hike, like 6 to 8 miles, At some point in time, you will probably have to go to the bathroom. So when you pee on the trail, like pee and poop on the trail, go off the trail. Like don't actually do it on the trail. Make sure that you go off trail, and this is really important. Please make sure that you are away from a water source. So you want to make sure that, I think the rule of thumb is like 200 feet or 300 feet from a water source. I just go in the opposite direction of a water source. Make sure that when you're walking away, that you're paying attention for snakes when you're finding a place to pee. And then for me, I take a little, little wet wipes or whatever, and make sure that you pack in, pack out. So that's all part of that LNT, that leave no trace. So pack in, pack out. You will also, if you have to go number 2, and it happens to the best of us, that's okay. Just make sure that you dig what's called a cat hole. And a cat hole is just a hole, that you dig in the ground, and then you poop in the hole, and then you cover it up. And if you can't do that, then at least cover up whatever poop that you leave, so that you're, again, being part of that leave no trace. Again, please make sure that it is away from a water source. When you first get to the trail, make sure that you've got all your stuff, go through a checklist. You will probably not have cell phone access, like you'll probably not have a signal. Don't panic. When you get to the trailhead, make sure that you pay any park fees that you have. I have a year-long pass, which is really good to get if you're planning on hiking and camping a lot. If not, pay the parking fee, because that's very important. 2, you will usually see there'll be like a map there. Go take a picture of the map, and then you have it on your phone. And try to keep your phone, don't use your phone a whole bunch, just because if you've got the map on your phone, then you need to have access to it. I also carry paper maps, but I'm weird. And then the other thing is, everybody needs to make sure that they hike with a whistle. So sometimes packs themselves, like my Osprey pack has a whistle attached to it, but you need to make sure that you have a safety whistle. If you do get lost, it's kind of hard to do on a Georgia trail, but if you do get lost, it's important that you remember to stay put, don't move. People will come and find you, and then have your whistle so that you can blow, so if you hear other people, they can hear you. Don't worry about bears. For the most part, bears aren't going to bother you, especially when you first start hiking and you're not going on sort of like deep backcountry trails. Bears, for the most part, are gonna leave you alone because it's a highly populated area, so you should be fine. But if you do see a bear, just yell "no bear" and blow your whistle, and they usually run away. So for beginner hikers, make sure you've got water, make sure that you've got, that people know where you are. So I always do the rule of tell 3. So tell 3 people where you're going. Hey, I'm going to this trailhead. It's this many miles long. I'll text you when I get back to my car. And then that's it. And then head out. As far as shoes and stuff, like when I hike, I use these. You can just use tennis shoes. You don't have to wear big, heavy hiking boots. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. And if you see a snake, just leave it alone. Go in the other direction. You don't need to mess with snakes. Okay, so that's it. Yeah.